Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back friend of the show, Liran Hirschkorn. How you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
No worries. It's been a while. I mean, we haven't spoken. You haven't been on the show for a long time. I must admit, because with Seller Poll going on, I didn't want any influence there. But you went on
Yeah.
to win outstanding contribution, so congratulations on that.
Yes, thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, I was very funny about putting people on the podcast as the voting was going on because I didn't want that influence.
Uh-huh.
So it's good to get you back. I know you've been all over the place. I'll see you briefly in China, wasn't it? And we were in
Yes.
and out there.
Yep.
Lots going on. So what's been going on for you last couple of months?
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of traveling. Between China, and then I actually went back to China to speak at Alibaba.
Hmm.
That was very interesting, actually. Spoke in front of 1,500 suppliers at an Alibaba event.
Yeah.
Really interesting and actually my talk there was about the cultural differences between the U.S. and China, and Alibaba wanted me to speak on essentially what U.S. kind of sellers, which actually in their eyes are buyers, right? What U.S. buyers are really looking for from Alibaba suppliers. And I kind of went on stage there and kind of told them like it is, why don't you put up like real prices on your
Yeah.
listings? Why don't you stop stealing images from Amazon and other places online and put actual images of products you actually make, and videos, and hire American speaking people to write your Alibaba pages and connect more with the U.S. audience. So that was really really interesting. I put up my QR code for WeChat at the on the last slide, and probably had 300 or 400 suppliers add me on WeChat. Some who wanted some advice, and some who just wanted to pitch me on their their products.
Yeah.
First thing I get is like a message, and hey, we'd love to cooperate with you, and images of their products. So like some of them, first thing they did was kind of pitch me to think that I'm, this gazillionaire buyer from the U.S. will just buy anything you send me on WeChat. So that was kind of interesting, but a lot of them really sent me messages saying they appreciated, the culture is different. They appreciated kind of understanding what, from the U.S. perspective, sort of what, or a Western perspective, what buyers want. So that was a pretty cool opportunity. And the other day, sometimes you don't know what the benefits are of necessarily doing something like that. The other day, one of my suppliers sent me a message with a link to an Alibaba page that had all my, had video of my product, had images of my product. And instead of having to go through a whole process with Alibaba, I sent a message to my contact there and said, hey, take a look at this. This guy's just using all my, mine and other sellers' images on the page. And he said, hey, I'll take care of it. And I think like yesterday he told me like he's taking everything off. So building those connections, networking, it's always really good. And then came back from that trip and went to two Tony Robbins events in the past month. I went to Unleash Your Power Within in the beginning of November, and then I went to Date with Destiny. Just came back this past week from very intense 6 days.
So we don't normally do that kind of mindset stuff on there. I think
Right.
people listen to the show know a bit about me and my thoughts on certain things because of the manipulation side. So talk to me like what drew you, because like you don't mess around either, and you can spot bullshit from a mile off.
Yep.
What drew you to go to those kind of events? I know Tony Robbins is very well respected, but you understand where I'm coming from. People use that mindset thing as a tool of manipulation. We've seen it before where you get these scumbag marketers, they take their pictures with Tony Robbins and they use them all in their Facebook ads and stuff.
Yep. So I actually first got sort of into Tony Robbins. I think I may have been 17 or 18, and I bought like his CDs. He had
those on cassettes as well, weren't they? Back
yes,
in the day?
cassettes and CDs. Personal Power, I think it was when I was a teenager, and he had infomercials. And then in 2009, I went with my wife to Unleash Your Power Within, and then for 10 years didn't go again, and then went last month to UPW, and then Date with Destiny. I've always seen him as somebody who is actually genuine and actually wants to help people, for a few different reasons. Just because I just get that feeling that he's genuine, but also he's not one of those guys that actually needs to do any of it at this point. He's worth
minted. He's absolutely minted.
Yes, yeah, he's $400 or $500 million net worth. He's owner, investor in 50.
So we'll keep that in there. That's authentic. Go on.
Yeah, yes. He's owner, investor in like 54 different companies, including early investor in like Uber and some companies he does very well. Supplements, obviously his programs, everything else. And when I see him spending an hour with somebody at 1:30 in the morning who is suicidal and changing their life around, and the tear coming down from his face, I see that as genuine. But he has helped me. I think I sort of started in personal growth when I went to him and kind of changing your thinking into this sort of growth mindset. I had some personal breakthroughs at this event myself. I had some fucked up fears, I guess, that I would say that I kind of broke through at this event for me. And Date with Destiny for me was much deeper than UPW. UPW I've been to twice now, and it's good, and it gives you a good sort of framework and mindset. But Date with Destiny, you go much deeper into working on yourself for 6 days. You work on your I'll give you a few examples, but you work on your personal mission statement. You work on what your values are, what values you want.
It's a popular man. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, sorry about that. You work on what your values are, what values you want in life, what values you don't want in life, what your sort of rules are to knowing you're hitting those values. But you pick up a lot of sort of little things along the way. He talked about very wealthy individuals and celebrities that he sometimes gets a call, and he gets to sort of like coach. And sometimes the people you see that are out there, very famous people, obviously to mention names, music artists that are very famous, successful, and you think have everything, and really deep down are miserable for a variety of reasons. And talking about things like, reaching your goals is not going to make you happy. It's progress that makes you happy. Progress equals happiness. He talks about the idea that, we all have this blueprint for what we kind of expect our life to be and want our life to be. But when your life circumstances change, your blueprint has to change too, right? If you get into, a terrible car accident, you lose your legs, and that's not the life you expected, and you harp on that for the rest of your life, you're going to have a miserable life. But if you sort of change your blueprint to realize that, hey, life circumstances change, I need to kind of change with that also, you can actually be happy. So he talks, you learn a lot of things along the way, things like the 6 basic human needs that everybody has, and the top 2 of those generally are driving all of your behavior, and those are certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, growth, contribution. But if your number one need in life, so let's just say as an example, and I won't get political here, but if I say Donald Trump, you'll instantly know that his first number one need in life is significance, right? He puts his name on every single building, on all his products, on his first need is significance. And he actually says if certainty and significance are your top 2 drivers, probably not very happy individuals. And helping you sort of shift that it's okay to want significance, but as one of your top 2 drivers in life, it may not serve you the best. So trying to think about what are the things that are actually driving all my behaviors, and how do I shift maybe, how do I shift that to change from where I am to something that will serve me and the world in a better place. So there's a lot of really good life lessons along the way. The, jumping up and down that you see that's there, if you followed my stories or whatever on social, then you'll see, I had a lot of like video of jumping up and down and dancing. It looks like a big party, but that's actually just, small snippets of moments in between a lot of the learning. And the reason is because you're trying to active learning is much more, you're learning actively is much more ingraining what you're learning into your nervous system and into your body, as opposed to passively learning. And that's kind of why that's all designed on purpose, to get you to be active in learning and to anchor what you're learning into your body, into your nervous system, by not just, sitting back and hearing something.
But the irony of that, but what people have done is taken it a tool for a greater good and tweaked it another way. They use NLP to get your credit cards out, not at Tony's events, but these other events. And that's why I'm always when I see all these lunatics jumping up and down, shaking each other's hand, I'm thinking, where's scam? What do you know what I mean? But that's just me. I'm probably the wrong mindset, but I suppose because I've seen it over and over again, my bullshit meter goes up straight away. If I was at a Tony Robbins event, it's a different story. Probably not the best looking thing for me to be jumping up and down like a lunatic, and it's cool for you. But I still struggle with that. Like I believe in mindset, because you upgrade from like where I've come as a kid to where I am now. There's a massive change in my life. I'll give you another example. I got a phone call yesterday. Well, I got a Facebook message first and asked for my number. And they said, "Are you Danny McMillan? And is your dad named blah, blah, blah." I thought, here we go. Because I don't see my father, right? I've met him when I was 12. And then I met him again when I was 19. So we're going back 25 years. Transpires he's dead. So basically I got this contact yesterday, and this is Sunday. I don't know when this goes out. And it didn't bring back a flood of emotions, but it goes back to building blocks of your life, of where you come from. So I haven't processed that yet. Does that make sense? But you're talking about significant parts of your life. But I think one of the big drivers in my life and why I am the way I am is because he wasn't in my life. For whatever reason I won't go into on this podcast. But does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm kind of going off track here, but I'm just trying to float back to what you were saying about, having levels of breakthroughs. I don't know what the significance is there, but I do believe, even though he wasn't in my life, he was one of the big drivers to who I am today, just by proxy. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, definitely, you think about a kid whose parents were abusive, let's say, that child is either going to be abusive also,
or opposite,
or 100% the opposite, and strive to be an amazing dad, right? An amazing father. And I imagine that you took the lessons and turned it around in a positive way, to kind of be there for your kids and to not do that, right? So that's definitely a major driver. And there was also some, there was also one day spent on business. And they definitely do try to sell future events. And I will probably go, there's a business mastery event. There's a couple in the US. I'll probably go to the one in Amsterdam later this year. It's Business Mastery 2. I heard it's a little bit more advanced, so I want to go to that in the summer. But they definitely talk about business and creating raving fans for your business. Not just creating. So there's a whole part also about business. I would say 90% of the room. There were 5,000 people there. 90% of the room are business owners. It's pretty impressive. And talking about, creating raving fans, for example, that's something, to me that also hit home with me, because I know you're supposed to, creating raving fans, but, sitting there and thinking about Amazon sellers and how that relates, 99% of us are not building raving fans through our Amazon business, and kind of thinking about, okay, how do I take this Amazon business and build out raving fans? And a lot of that is around, creating brand and creating an experience and being able to capture information off your Amazon sales so that you can, really build more than just an Amazon business to build out raving fans. Continuing to innovate is something they, spoke about also. Again, something most sellers are not doing is sort of ongoing innovation of your products and services. Most people are just launching sort of Me Too products or products that have this opportunity and putting it on Amazon, and not doing really a lot of the fundamentals of what it takes to build out a business that is not just, let's say, further than just, forget about not relying on Amazon, but where people are loyal to you other than just your price and your reviews, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot about that that gives me a lot of information to think about for 2020. And how do I take this brand off Amazon and create this experience for an audience of people, to build out raving fans, to build out people who are going to come to Amazon and search for my brand, or have such a good experience with my brand that next time, if they're looking to buy another product in the brand, or if it's a replenishable product, they're going to buy mine despite the price, despite maybe a product has 4 stars and something else has 4.5, and they're still going to buy my brand because I've built out a raving fans and loyal audience. And something that, it's a great time to think about that for 2020 and how you go about, creating that. And with Amazon, I think there's, you're somewhat limited in your ability to do that, but obviously inserts and ability to create some kind of audience off of that, the messaging in there, all those kind of things, I think are things that you really need to do at this point to try to build a real brand as Amazon kind of gets more competitive. So that was another, point that hit home with me, that, most of these Amazon so-called businesses are Amazon businesses and not necessarily real brands. And
brand.
I think 2020, as Amazon gets more sellers and more difficult, I think you really need to build an audience and really need to think about building a real brand that's going to be sustainable.
What about the networking there? Sorry, I butted in there.
Yep.
I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah. No. So there were aspects of all areas kind of your life there. From there was a whole night about relationships. There was with your partner or spouse, etc. There was parts about business, and then just like a deep dive into your life.
So what about the networking? How does that compare to, that we go out to Amazon events? It's great. Yes. You make friends for life, etc. What's the difference in terms of what you get from these events from meeting other business owners, maybe outside of Amazon? Does that generate new ideas and stuff as well?
Yes, 100%. I mean, the networking is really good. And 90%, like I said, 90% of the people in the room are business owners. First of all, there's a lot of people that are in, there's definitely people you meet that are in e-commerce, that are selling products, bunch that are outside of the Amazon space, some that are selling on Amazon. And there's also, I sat next to a guy that had a company that does, he's a second generation business owner in a company that does 200 million in revenue a year. And they're in like B2B kind of plumbing and home products, have some amazing wholesale relationships, and are getting into e-commerce. And wanted to, has had somebody he's kind of been working with on Amazon, not super thrilled, and has put up some products, some wholesale, like, kitchen sinks and stuff like that, like faucets and stuff, like products you saw on Amazon, and wanted to, consult with me on it. Totally different type of person that I would ever meet, that would never go to an Amazon type of event. So the networking is really good. That was part of the reason why, when I went in November, and then again this month to the event, I bought the most expensive seats. Yeah. Not so much to necessarily sit up front, but also because of the people that I know that are going to sit around me, and also for the networking opportunity. So yeah, made a bunch of contacts there. There's also a Facebook group that people who go to that specific event join. And yeah, you meet a lot of people that are doing different things in general, from digital marketing to e-commerce to, a lot of other type products, people you can collaborate with, influencers. This woman that I met with, that was like, they separate you into teams. I mean, there was a bunch of people that I met that had, good followings, 80, 90,000, 100,000 followers on social media that you can collaborate with, that can become influencers for your products, and you build over a 6-day period. You're spending, especially a Date with Destiny, they separate you into like teams based on, right away on your badge is like a team name, and it's based on your ticket level. And they put you in a team of like anywhere from 20 to 60 people. And you're with those people 6 days a week for like 17, 18-hour days. So you're forming very deep relationships, and you get to know a lot about those people, obviously, also. So great opportunity to network. And I think if you start talking to people and you share, especially, there's also, Tony Robbins has a platinum program, which is, like $85,000 a year. You go to all of his events, you go to some exclusive events just with him. And those people I network with some of those people as well. There was a party the night before it started, and all those people.
So just for confirmation, you didn't drop 85 grand, did you?
I did not, no. I did not, but maybe 2021 goals,
Yeah.
I didn't drop 85 grand, but I know somebody that I met there that's been in 5 years, and she said every year, as long as she makes 85,000 back from the network and the relationship, she renews. And she's done it every single year. Obviously, because you're just connecting with people that are playing at a higher level, right? If they're paying 85,000 a year just for their sort of events and networking, plus traveling and everything else, is over 100,000 for
easy
membership. Then the network there is really good. You need to be connected to somebody knows someone that can help you. So yeah, I think it's generally the people that I met were all pretty cool. We're all people who are looking to grow. And I do really, I've subscribed to this idea that if you're not growing, you're dying. And I like I said, I had some personal breakthroughs at this event, and changes I'm making in my life that I think are all for the positive, that I think will not only help me in my personal life, but will help me take my business life to another level next year.
Can I ask you another question? Like, I respect this, but you go hard on some of these scammers in the industry. You name, shame, and just go all in.
Yes.
Is your perspective changed on that?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'd like to focus less on that. Actually, there was this whole thing, right? This huge post on KT9, and kind of those guys being a scam. I just put on my wall a video that this guy posted, and I did not expect like this post to blow up with like 100 whatever comments, and going super hard, on it. I'd like to, it's kind of a balance, because on the one hand, I feel like I'm helping sellers by sort of being a warning signal to like, hey, don't go to this. At the same time, I don't really want to focus on other people. I don't, especially scammers. I want to focus on myself, on Amazon sellers, on my own business. So I don't want to give it too much time. So I'd like to pull back somewhat from that, but it doesn't mean that I'll never.
No one stays still, but
I'll reserve the right.
But I think what's happened is other people picking up the mantle now, aren't they? In terms of that, you've got Brandon Young. He takes no prisoners either.
Yep.
He's got his own insurance to cover himself with some of this stuff. But yeah, I often think, as I said to you, like, without being patronizing, I'm a bit older than you. And I used to be like the same as you with that stuff in the music industry. And as I got older, I just felt like I do things slightly different to win those wars. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to give up some of the early battles. So whereas used to out on the front line, I'll do seller poll, or I'll try and
Right.
put out more content. Does that make sense? And my
Right.
approach is
Yes.
different. I might have been wussing out a little bit compared to the frontline shit that you guys do.
Yeah, I don't see it as wussy out, but if you're talking about sort of starting to play at higher levels,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people I respect. You don't see Gary V calling out fake gurus,
Yeah.
or you don't see the people at the highest levels do
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd like to focus less on what other people are doing and focus more on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance, I guess. But I think you'll see less of that in
2020.
In 2020. I think actually you may have seen. I would think you saw less of that in 2019 for me, except for this one post that went kind of
Crazy.
that went kind of crazy. People started naming Bradley in there and Helium, and then I didn't really even know that Helium did some stuff with those guys, and then I went and saw that. That wasn't my
that got cleaned up now. That was
intent at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of it became its own sort of animal once I posted it on my wall, and I get sort of a mix of feedback. Sometimes I get people who are like, hey, just focus on your own shit and like leave that stuff alone. And then I get people messaging me and saying, hey, thank you so much. Like I was considering like joining their course or something,
And then you get the others who want to get the popcorn out and go, come on, with the Michael Jackson pictures and the popcorn, because what they want to see is the public stoning, don't they? So
yeah, it's drama, and it's like watching a reality,
unfold, car crash TV,
and people watching it. But yeah, you'll probably see me less focused on that in 2020. Hopefully the fake gurus, stay at a certain level and don't go to the next level of fake gurus, and we try to keep them at bay. And hopefully there won't be as much of a need. But I think hopefully a lot of people know at this point who's real, who's not real, and yeah. But the answer to your question is I do want to step back from some of that.
And so what's on the agenda 2020? We've got to talk about it every year. I always talk about external traffic and then barely implement a lot of the stuff that I want to talk. Do you know what I mean? It's like, right, I'm going to do this and then don't do it. Then go, I'm going to do this and don't do it. So I've got a lot of stuff in the fire in terms of tests I'm running for external traffic for 2020. What are you doing more of 2020?
So I will be starting a brand. It might be second quarter.
Yeah.
Maybe second quarter. I will be starting a brand that is that starts off Amazon. And then I'll bring it onto Amazon. I will be building an audience around it, and doing some of the things that we kind of spoke about here, creating kind of raving fans. I'll be public about that brand. I also feel like I'll have some protection because I'm going to start it off Amazon and with an audience. I actually already started a podcast that is just to kind of build audience. It is around like mindset and some of the topics I spoke to you about. And some of the products will be geared towards that kind of audience. So right now I'm not even launching products, like I said, till probably the second quarter. But right now I'm just working on putting out content around the topic of what I think the audience will be interested in, and look to build that up to sort of build a, as they say in England, a proper brand. Proper brand, one that has an audience, that has a little bit more protection, that I can be the face of in public without necessarily worrying about being copied off everything on Amazon, because the goal is to be somewhat insulated from that. So that's something for 2020. I think focusing more on the PPC agency, possibly full service management for Amazon sellers and brands, probably higher level sellers where it makes sense for them to have sort of full management of their account, meaning we kind of do everything.
Yeah.
And focusing on the Amazon advertising side. I think that's getting more complicated. Obviously, costs are going up, strategy is going to change, new things are going to come. We're doing a lot with Amazon display. So we're able to get that at a 5,000 minimum. We've been having some very good results for people, Amazon DSP. So that's an area that is a good area to focus, because it's also just more inventory of off Amazon targeting and retargeting. So that's been working well. We started that, let's say maybe 4 months ago, and we've been getting very good results. So those are kind of the areas for me that I think I'll be focusing on, along with, hopefully being out there and speaking at some events, and hopefully not traveling 150 days.
Is that what you've done this year? It was 150. I thought I'd done a few. Jesus, that's a lot more than me.
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Some of it like the 6 days, Tony Robbins, some of it like kind of some conferences outside of Amazon space. But I've traveled a ton this year. It's great. I had a ton of fun traveling, but I need to pull back a little bit also from the amount of days I've been away from home. So that's another goal. So, maybe the goal this year will be, 50 days.
I think my wife would have divorced me for 150 days. I got in trouble for going away for 7 weeks. Yeah.
My wife is very supportive. And if I needed to travel 150 days this year, she would not stop me. She's very supportive of what I want to do. And she knows that I love this and supports this. But, I also have a daughter turning 6. I want to be home more. I want to kind of balance out a little bit more. So I'll definitely be doing traveling. I have, several events I'm going to. I'm going to Traffic and Conversion this year. I've never been before. I'm very much looking forward to that, because like you said, that's outside of exactly the Amazon space, although it has a lot of e-commerce and Amazon sellers there. And so, start to go to more events outside of just Amazon that are in marketing as a whole. So I'm looking forward to going to some events that I've never been before this year. And I know Traffic and Conversion is probably one of the best ones if you're going to go to a, digital marketing type of conference. Yeah.
Sounds good. Should we leave that there? Is there anything you want to add before we go?
No. It's a great time right now to work on 2020 and to work on your goals and to start writing down.
Q4 is winding down slightly, isn't it? It's not fully diminished, but it is time now, like this time of year's time to think this last 2 weeks to get, I think effectively you've got 2 weeks to get everything in order, really. What's going to happen for the next 365,
Yeah, to get very clear on, where would you like your business to be December 2020? And then how do you kind of work backwards from there to write down, okay, well, if my goal is to do 7 figures, or if my goal is to do, 3 million in sales or a certain amount of profit, what do I need to do on a monthly basis? What do I need to do in terms of my actions? How many products do I need to launch? What's my plan to try to get there? So I would say sit down, take a couple hours, block out time, shut off your computer, maybe take a piece of paper and a pen and start to write down. One of the takeaways for me from the event I went to from Tony Robbins was that asking the right questions will lead to your best answers. If you ask shitty questions, you're also going to get back shitty answers. And so asking, how can I get to this goal in 2020? What do I need to do? And start kind of writing things down, I think will help you build out a roadmap for 2020.
Yeah, makes sense. Best way to contact you?
So best way, you can follow me on Facebook. I've been posting some stuff on Instagram too. We have the Amazing Freedom Group and the Amazon Seller Podcast.
Cool. Sounds good. Liran, thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.